for some people to arrive in the chat. But you can see what we got here. We got a Go format dueling simulator in its early stages. Yeah, you also notice I have a new webcam. It is much better quality than my old one. So I got that going for me too. So yeah. So I'll just give you guys some backstory here. So I've been kind of doing my own things recently. And it's hard because there's a lot of things that like a lot of projects that I'm working on, a lot of things I'm trying to accomplish. But one that's important to me is to get a better simulator, dueling simulator for GOAT format. So that's what I've been working on here. This is entirely created by me. It's still not totally finished yet. But what I'm going to show you today is the basic features for how the dueling part works, right, as opposed to the deck construction part. So yeah, I've been working on this for a while. I did tell some people that I was going to do this. This was a priority to me. I think a lot of them thought I was just bullshitting, but no, I am in fact working on a GOAT format dueling simulator. So, yeah, so let's talk about some key things. First key thing is Mirage. This is my own simulator. This is something that I'm making. This is, you'll see here, I don't know if you guys can see in the stream, but this is browser based, right? You'll notice that I'm running this on my machine right now. It's localhost, but it's running in my web browser. This is Google Chrome. It should work pretty well at other browsers as well. I mean, Firefox is kind of like a bitch to code for because there's certain things that work differently with Firefox, but it should work fine in Firefox too. I did not know that there is an EDO Pro sim for GOAT format. I mean, I guess I kind of heard about it, but yeah, I mean, there needs to be better sims. I mean, that's just a fact. I mean, right now, Dueling Book is just kind of a single point of failure. And yeah, I mean, that's not good for a number of reasons. So one of the things you'll notice is built in here. I mean, right now it doesn't do anything yet, but there's this button that's rulings. So, basically my goal here is obviously there's sort of totally manual simulators like Dueling Book. And then there are, automatic simulators like, Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro. And basically my goal here is to sort of bridge the gap and make something that has all of the pros of the automatic simulators, but none of the cons. So it's basically more or less going to be a smart manual simulator. In the sense that, just to use a very simple example, if you end your turn and you have more than 6 cards in hand, it will force you to discard. If you discard a Thunder Dragon, it will know to get other Thunder Dragons from your deck and put it in your hand. So yeah, so very simple things like that. But otherwise, it'll be manual, right? It won't build chains for you or anything like that, because the problem is with the automatic simulators, especially with GOAT format, but even with current formats, it's very hard to make them handle every single corner case correctly. And the other advantage of having a simulator that's entirely for GOAT format is you can do things update card text. Let me give you an example, right? Dark Balter the Terrible. I'll actually pull it up here so that we can see its text. So Dark Balter the Terrible, it is worded in such a way that its text is not clear if it is optional or not. Now, Dark Balter, this thing to negate a spell card, this is optional. You don't have to do this. But a lot of people don't know that. So, in my simulator, I'm just going to update this card's text and say, when a normal spell card is activated, you may negate the effect by paying 1,000 life points, right? Just simple things like that. Simple, like, quick wins that, like, anyone could do, but, like, we haven't, right? Because, like, most people, like, just don't give a shit, right? Like, people making these simulators. So certain things like that. Also, you'll notice the cards look a little different. This simulator is designed to be very lightweight, in the sense that, like, you'll notice there's no lag, because most of the heavy lifting is going to be done by the client in the web browser. It will not, like, cause very much of a strain on the server, which means that the server will be able to handle, thousands of players at once without any lag. So that's priority 2. So basically there's, like, a few priorities. One, again, bridging the gap between manual and automatic simulators. That's first priority. Obviously having, like, a good user interface is another priority. Like, I want it to be easy for, like, a new player to get in, but, like, to also serve the interests of competitive players as well. So yeah, and then what I was saying before, like, I got a little off track, was that something that I don't like about Dueling Book, and I think most people don't like about Dueling Book, is, like, the in-game interface, while it looks nice, having to, like, hover over a card and get a list of options and, like, clicking on the right one, it's just not, like, it's just not the best way to do it. So basically my simulator is all, like, drag and drop and clicking based. There's no, like, hovering to get options. So for example, if I pick up this Call the Haunted, right, we can see we're dragging it all over the screen. And anywhere that's a valid target shows up in green. You'll notice, obviously I can't put it in the monster zone because Call the Haunted is not a monster. I can put it back in my hand, or I can put it on the field. And now when I drop Call the Haunted, the game knows, hey, this is a trap. I'm supposed to put this face down. And then if you want to activate it, you click it once to select it. That's why it's in blue here. And then you click it again to flip it. And now the Call the Haunted is activated. And if we want to put this back in our hand, I don't know, maybe our opponent activated Giant Trunade. We just drag and drop it back into our hand, and now it's in our hand. So that's basically, like, the way the entire game is going to work. And this allows you to play, like, far faster than having to, like, hover over. And, like, I've had many opportunities to test this. You can basically play a game in, like, half the time when everything is drag and drop than when everything is, like, hover based. And again, there's just, like, going to be a lot of stuff that's automated. So, like, for example, when you nobleman a cross out, a face down flip effect or whatever, like, you say you nobleman a cross out of Magician of Faith. Right now, there's just not a very good way to resolve that, because, if you let them view your deck, they can take a screenshot, but if players don't view each other's decks, then they have to trust each other. Like, in this game, you'll just be able to say, hey, check my deck for nobleman a cross out. And it'll just check the deck, automatically banish everything, and if there's nothing to banish, it'll let your opponent know. So for setting, because obviously this applies to monsters too, right? So say I want to set this Shining Angel, right? Now, if I drag and drop it to the field, it'll be in attack mode, right? Which isn't what we want. So instead what we can do is, while it's in our hand, we can select it, click it, now it's face down. And now if I drag it to the field, it'll put it in face down defense. And it works the same way for spell cards. I mean, I haven't, like, gotten the whole card database in here yet, because GOAT format has, like, 2,000 cards, and I don't want to, like, manually add them all yet. That's not my priority. But for Necro Valley example, I put Necro Valley in the game just to make sure that field spells worked correctly. Although I suppose, maybe Necro Valley is just a really good combo with 2 Call the Haunteds. So yeah, so for Necro Valley, like, same deal. If we drag it and play, it'll only let us put it in the field spell zone. And if we want to set it, we just, double click it to put it face down. And do that. So to summon a monster in defense, the way it works right now is you just put it in attack, and then you just double click it and it goes to defense. Right? So your opponent will know what's going on. And for monsters in general, this here we have a face down BLS. If we double click it, it goes to face up attack mode. If, we double click it again, it goes face up defense. And then if we double click it a third time, it gets set. So again, it's just all dragging and clicking. So, say we have our BLS in attack mode and our opponent activated Book of Moon, we can just quad click, right? That took less than a second. So, yeah, pretty convenient. There's going to be like a lot of shortcuts, not things that people have to use, but things that people can use. So to put something in our grave, we have a few options, right? Like we can just drag and drop it to our grave. That's one option. Or the other option is we can click on a card, and if we press the D key, it just automatically goes to our grave. So that's like an example of one shortcut that, I've programmed in. Graveyard's still kind of a work in progress in terms of the programming, but won't take too long to work out. Another basic thing is going to be like, the extra deck's just going to come like preloaded with every fusion. So you can see my extra deck here. Right now I can't do anything with it, but the way that it works is you'll click on it, you'll get like, a rectangular menu, and there'll be filters to help you find the right fusion. So there'll be like a filter that says like, metamorphosis targets only. And then you can filter that by like level. So you can click on your extra deck, get, your menu, and say, hey, I want all legal level 5 metamorphosis targets, right? Pretty simple stuff. That's the idea. And, as, chat works. So I can type, hey guys, shows up there in the chat. GLHF shows up in the chat. Yeah, I mean, the aesthetics are very important to me. Certain stuff will be customizable. Like, the background here, the Thousand Eyes Goats thing, I've always liked this artwork. But the users will be able to swap it out with their own, if they'd like. Yeah, I mean, there's going to be shortcuts for everything, right? Not sure specifically how I'll handle Cyberjar, but like the beautiful thing here is that, since it's only GOAT format, we get to, we can make everything catered to GOAT format. Like there's certain things that you have to be able to do in current format that we don't have to worry about. And we can make like all the shortcuts and all of the scripts, catered to GOAT format. That's the idea. And, I think part of the problem is, the reason that like Dueling Book doesn't have more like GOAT format related features is because like obviously current format is the main product and like new cards are always coming out. So like the developers have to continually like update the game for all the new cards are coming out. But if there weren't new cards coming out all the time, they could take all of that time and like put it into improving like the actual features of the product. So that's kind of like the beauty of doing it this way, is that if the cards don't change, that leaves you all of this time to just focus on other things. So yeah, you'll notice, we can click on our opponent's cards here, and our opponent will be able to see this. So I don't know, say maybe I activate Snatch Steal, and I go, I want to target your Shining Angel, right? I can click on his Shining Angel, target it. We can't drag it yet though. So as far as GOAT format features that Dueling Book doesn't have, so probably the key one is that fusions don't come preloaded, right? So in Dueling Book, you have to add 15 fusions to your extra deck, and then like in game, if you want more, you have to manually add more. So that's like a pain in the ass, right? It's just making players waste time. So in this game, 3 fusions will come preloaded. Again, certain card scripts will be here that aren't on Dueling Book. So like, let me give you an example, right? So for current format, Dueling Book has the script where if you activate Pot of Desires, you can like automatically banish 10. That's like a pretty good feature to have. But obviously, Pot of Desires isn't in GOAT format. Instead, we'll have scripts like checking your deck for Nobleman of Crossout, Automatically, filtering your deck when you activate Reinforcement of the Army. Automatically special summoning 4 goat tokens when you activate Scapegoat instead of having to click like special token, special token, special token, special token. So things like that. That's like kind of what I had in mind. Yeah, that's mainly it as far as like goat format specific features. Oh, also another key one. I mean, I know this doesn't matter to like 99% of people. Realize that in GOAT format, your main deck can contain an unlimited number of cards, right? That was just what the rules were then. So you can build a 200 card deck in GOAT format if you want to, legally speaking. Dueling Book won't let you. It'll only let you put like 60 cards in a deck. And it'll only let you put 15 in your extra deck, right? So, with this, you'll be able to add as many cards as you want. That's kind of the basic idea. So yeah, it's just, there's not necessarily like a ton of specific GOAT format features that'll be built into this tool, but since it's created by me who only plays GOAT format, I'm obviously like only gonna have that as like my focus in mind. So for everything, it's like, hey, how would this work in GOAT format? Oh, so actually, Shadow 9000, I'm glad you brought that up. Because that was one of the other things that I wanted to mention. So with this tool, you will be able to create your own league and run a tournament entirely yourself. So again, Mal, like for rated, there'll be like an official rated pool that'll use like the ELO system for ratings, but I'll allow people to create their own league of players and invite their own people and do it however they want. So if you think my rating system sucks, I'll let you just make your own. And then with that league, you'll be able to like run tournaments. And it'll do like all the brackets for you, Swiss, double limb, whatever you want. So yeah, that's like a good point. That cuz that's something that's very important to me. Like again, I'm trying to make this like an all-encompassing tool that like does everything that you need, nothing more, nothing less. So yeah, it's gonna do all of that. And it's gonna have basic things like you'll be able to watch other people's games. That'll still be there, but there's not gonna be like a watchers chat because just like in real life, you don't let spectators just start talking about your game. It's going to be like same thing here. Anyone will be able to watch, but watchers won't be able to like post things in the chat. Chat will be you, your opponent, and the game logs here. Like this, server new match started. Yeah, so anyways, I was before I got distracted, what I was going to say is, with our opponent's cards, we can click on the cards, we can't drag them. We can't try to give his cards to ourselves, but we can give our cards to our opponent. So if I want to give my opponent this Shining Angel, I can just go, hey, have my Shining Angel. Now you got 2 Shining Angels. And then now you notice I can't take it back. My opponent would have to give it back to me. But right now there is no opponent because this is a demo. But we can refresh the page here and get back to where we started. And I think Dueling Books fixed this at this point, as far as I know. But anytime you disconnect, you'll be able to reconnect to the game just by, going. Like if you were to close your browser window and go back, you'll just be put back in the game because the game state will all be stored on the server. So yeah, that's a key thing too. I mean, I noticed recently, I think Dueling Books like been getting better about that, but they're not perfect. So yeah, that was kind of like some of the key features. Not fucking players over when they get disconnected. That's a key feature. Making the user interface beautiful and user friendly. That's an important feature. Allowing people to run their own league with their own tournaments, that's also a key feature. And also, I mean, I don't know how people feel about this, but like when I say I'm gonna let people like create their own league, they will be able to set rules like, are they going to allow use of Xarian Universe, right? Now, me personally, I don't think Xarian Universe should be allowed in GOAT format. But if you want to create your own league and allow Xarian Universe, yeah, more power to you, right? I'm not here to tell you, like, how to play GOAT format. So yeah, I mean, as I said, there will be rated. As far as reminded of effects like Spirit Monsters or Sacred Phoenix of Nefties. That, I mean, eventually the goal is yes. I don't think it'll be that way immediately, right? Because obviously it's like, there's all of the features I want, and then there's like my prioritization of which are the most important, right? So, first priority is obviously let people build decks, let people play games, right? That's like kind of like the minimum viable product. You have to be able to do that at a minimum. Then once we get that, then we start working on all the other things. But yeah, over time, there will be things like that, like being reminded of mandatory effects. I think Sacred Phoenix would be a little harder to do because the game would have to know that it was destroyed. But certainly, like, reminding you in the end phase, hey, you have a spirit monster in play, you should put it back in your hand. That's certainly quite doable. But, to start, I mainly want to, probably, priority one is, like, check for no mana crossout, right? That's something that comes up and is pain in the ass. So, like, that's probably, like, the first, like, automatic thing that'll get programmed in. And then probably next is filtering your deck for things that search, right? So, Mystic Tomato's destroyed. You click, hey, I want to check my deck for Mystic Tomato, and it just shows you all of the Mystic Tomato targets, right? Basic stuff. Here you'll notice on the right, this is kind of like a placeholder for like where the toolbar will be. Like you're probably seeing like, hey, where are the phases, where are the life points? That'll be over here on the right. Right now I have this button that swaps between Graveyard and Banish. That's all that's there right now. So if we like put Call the Haunted in our grave and we click switch to Banished, now it won't be visible, right? Because we're showing the Banish pile, which is empty. So if I banish Shining Angel, I can click, switch to Grave. Now we're back to Call the Haunted. Switch to Banish. Now we got Shining Angel. So on and so forth. So in the long term, will you try to make the simulator mobile friendly? No, I won't do that in the long term. I'm doing that already. Because realize that on your phone, this is again what I was talking about, the difference between like drag and drop and hover. This game entirely operates by dragging and dropping and clicking on things. You can do that on your iPad. You can do that on your phone. Now there are some mobile devices where you can hover, but it's not really like something that's meant for mobile, right? So if you can imagine here, this was like an iPad or whatever, right? You would just click on Necro Valley on your iPad, right? Drag it over to the field spell zone, release your finger, and now it's in play, right? And again, you can click on things, right? So we can, if for some reason, oh no, I wanted to play it face down, double click it. I actually think it doesn't let me. Well, okay, well that's a bug. I need to fix that. I guess flipping things face down doesn't work on field spells. So yeah, not perfect yet. But again, all this stuff you can do on mobile, right? We can set Call of the Haunted on mobile. We can double click it on mobile to flip it face up. Same with monsters. We can do all this stuff they're talking about we can do on mobile. Because nothing is hovering. Now, I'm not saying it'll look amazing on mobile, right? If you got a tiny-ass screen, I mean, there's no way to fix that problem, right? I mean, But yeah, if you got a mobile device with a reasonable resolution, yeah, this will look fine. You'll notice that this game it does adopt to any resolution, right? So we can grow it like this. It automatically grows and shrinks. You'll notice too, when we make it smaller, we get this scroll bar for the effects. So yeah, in fact, I can even show you what it looks like if you have like a million cards in hand. So let me do that real quick. Let me give me a second. Again, this is all like a demo here, so I have to like manually say, hey, I want a bunch of cards in my hand. So let's yeah, we're gonna open with like 20 Shining Angels, because Shining Angel's broken. Alright, save, refresh. Yeah, so this is what it looks like if we got like a bunch of cards in our hand. So you'll see now we have like this scroll bar. We can scroll right and left, see all of our cards. And you even get like these arrows that automatically move to the end. Alright, so we can go all the way to the left. This one actually doesn't seem to be working right now. So I need to figure out what's going on there. Might have been that I forgot to save something. I mean, is this better than Dueling Book? Well, to answer your question, no, it's not right now, because right now it's not even in a state at which you can play a game on it. But will it be better than Dueling Book? Absolutely. I mean, Dueling Book sets an incredibly low bar. I am programming this entirely myself. And I will let people test it once it's in like a state where you can actually do real things, not just drag cards around on the screen. But yeah, I mean that's about it. I mean, it's been about a half hour or so. So yeah, I mean, unless you guys have like any other particular questions, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I didn't go over as far as what my plans are. Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be lightweight. It's gonna do everything. You're gonna be able to run tournaments. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's about it. I mean, it's gonna be pretty sick. It's definitely gonna be better than the Dueling Book, that's for sure. What stops Konami from a cease and desist? I don't know. What stops them? I could send you a cease and desist. Say, hey, cease and desist from asking stupid questions. Right? I mean, a cease and desist is a legal document that anyone can send to anyone. So, yeah, that's... I mean, I don't know if that answers your question. But realize that, like, in general, right? If we're creating a simulator for, like, a, 16-year-old format, Konami's not going to care. Right? I mean, they have bigger fish to fry. I mean, Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro and Dueling Book, that's, That's actually relevant. I mean, the deck builder part, I mean, I don't have it, done yet, but it'll look, I mean, it'll look pretty similar to Dueling Book, because I think their deck builder is fine. I mean, if anything, that's like the one thing on Dueling Book that I don't have a problem with. So yeah, it'll be pretty similar to that. So basically, like, you'll still have this thing in the upper left that shows you the, the large view of the card, but here, instead of having, like, in-game zones, you'll just have, like, card zones. And probably, here you'll be the search box, and you'll just, like, drag and drop. I might do I might have two modes for deck construction. I might do, like, sort of image-based, and then also text-based, where you can just see a text list of your cards, and allow people to switch back and forth, depending on whether they like one better than the other. I think, like, 90% of players would just prefer the visual version, because, I mean, most people are very visual. But yeah, I will also, consider doing, like, text version. I mean, something that I'm also interested in is, like, matchup data. So, like, another thing that I'll do is, it's pretty easy to just, have some algorithm figure out what deck everyone's playing, and then I can gather matchup data in all of them, be like, hey, Thunder Dragon Chaos beats Goat Control this exact percentage of the time. So that's not really, like, deck builder related necessarily, but, like, it'll automatically, like, classify your deck after you're done building it. That's, like, another thing that I have planned. But yeah, I mean, this isn't, like, gonna be, like, ready tomorrow, guys. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how long it'll take me. This is just a demo, Matt. It's not gonna let you play more than 3 copies of a card. I just haven't added very many cards to the game yet. I mean, this is also 2 Call the Haunteds, and that's limited to 1. So yeah, I mean, we could, right now, I could have my starting hand be like 100 Blackluster Soldiers too. But yeah, if you guys want to support me, I mean, sub to me on Twitch. Hi, Med, I see you're on Twitch. So, it's free to sub with Amazon Prime Gaming, whatever it is. And that'll help me pay for the server costs. Because yeah, this stuff isn't free. I mean, it's obviously here as this demo is free, but to get something that actually works in production, it's probably going to cost at least like $100 a month. And then I also have YouTube memberships too. So yeah. And then, I mean, I say this on my stream all the time. To anyone who either does a Twitch sub or a YouTube membership, I will either review your GOAT format deck or your GOAT format game. Yeah, I mean, like, I have experience doing this kind of stuff. Like, the other app that I built is flopstats.com, and that's a poker app. But, I mean, you can see it's a pretty good-looking app, right? Like, this is pretty, like, professional-looking. I can even see my beautiful face here. So yeah, I mean, I know the fundamentals behind how to make a good web app. So yeah, I would definitely appreciate the support. I was considering doing like a Kickstarter, but I don't know. It just seemed unnecessary. It seemed like a little too ambitious. I mean, it'll get done when it gets done. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll probably say like I'll be ready to take like actual people testing the game in maybe a few months, right? And as far as how long it takes to like program every single feature that like we talked about today, all the things that people mentioned, like, hey, I want to be reminded for a spirit monster to return my hand, to program every single like feature, I don't know, maybe like 1 or 2 years. I mean, what people like don't realize is um people take like Dueling Book for granted, but realize that Dueling Book is just a port of Dueling Network. And Dueling Network took like, I don't know, it took like some time to program. I think it took like 2 years or something. It took like 2 years for that guy to make Dueling Network. And even just like converting it over to Dueling Book, like literally taking a code base that was already written and then just updating it and re-releasing it, even that took like even like a year, I think, which, if anything, to me that sounds a little long. Yeah, I mean, the problem with like Dueling Book, there's a lot of problems, and like to get into like all the reasons why Dueling Book doesn't work very well, that's probably like out of scope of today's stream. But essentially this is just going to be way more lightweight than Dueling Book. It's going to use like a lot less data, and that's going to allow the servers to get better performance. And although this is maybe like kind of like a weird way of thinking about this, like obviously like when GOAT format players are on Dueling Book, we're competing for the same space that current format players are, right? So like, since current format and GOAT format are like run together on the same server, if like current format, I don't know, picks up in popularity on Dueling Book for whatever reason, that like slows down the performance that the GOAT format players are getting too, right? Because you're kind of all together on the same server. Whereas here, like, there will probably be just fewer players than Dueling Book just because there's no current format. So just because of that, it'll mean that there's like more server resources per person, if that makes sense. But yeah, I mean, all this stuff is like, again, it's coded to be quite lightweight. Like, all of these images, like, the images look pretty good, in my opinion, right? Like, look at this BLS art. Looks pretty good, looks pretty good. This is actually a very low quality image. Like, this BLS image is like 20 kilobytes or something. So, so yeah, everything is, designed to be lightweight, high performance. And that's just how I like to program in general. Performance is like very important to me. All right, so unless there are any other questions or comments, yeah, it's like 7:53 right now. Unless anyone has any other questions or comments, I think I'm gonna, give it a few minutes and then call it a stream, right? Because sooner I end the stream, sooner I can get back to work. Yes, there not only will there be rated, but you will be able to create your own league and your own rated pool. So yeah, I'll just repeat that again. You, Jen Patton, will be able to say, "Hey, I want to create my own group of GOAT format players. Here's what it's called. Maybe it's called, I don't know, Gen Goats or something." And you'll be able to say, "Here's how I want my rating system to work. Here's the rating that I want everyone to start at. I want it to be ELO or True Skill or whatever." And you will then be able to run your own tournaments in the app. So you'll be able to schedule hey, I want to run a tournament on Saturday at 10 a.m. And everyone in your league will be able to sign up for your tournament, and it will collect deck lists from them automatically, right? You know, they'll say, hey, here's the goat control deck that I'm playing, whatever, right? And it'll force them to use the same deck, so, you know, they can't cheat and swap cards out. And then it'll also, you know, it'll run the bracket for you. It'll say, okay, round one, this person plays this person. You know, you'll be able to say, okay, if they're 5 minutes late, that's a game loss. Whatever. You'll be able to do all of that. It's basically, you know, it'll do, you know, that is going to be a core feature of the program, right? That is going to be a top priority. Because, I mean, there's no reason for it not to, right? I mean, the only reason that, like, Dueling Book doesn't let you run a tournament is because the guy who made it didn't give it that feature, right? I mean, that's the only reason. There's no logical reason why it shouldn't let you run a tournament. It's not rocket science. So yeah, I think that's it for today. To those of you guys who got here kind of on the later side, you know, this will all be on YouTube, right? All of this, you know, it's been about 40 minutes or so. This will all be on YouTube if you want to go back and, you know, go over some of the things that I showed you guys, you know, how to drag and drop cards, that sort of thing. So yeah, I mean, I would probably assume that everyone here is already following me on Twitch and YouTube, but, you know, if you aren't, now would be a good time to start. And, you know, if you want to support the development of the program, you know, encourage me to, you know, give me an attaboy, so to speak. Be sure that you know, subscribe to me on Twitch. That helps me out. Or you can become a YouTube member. That also helps me out. So, yeah. Have a good one, guys. Hope you're all psyched.